So I'm gonna do a video, a little, hopefully a short one. I tend to run long on my videos for some crazy reason, but yeah. So back in 2008, I had some sort of a vision and a dream and all the above, and I did as anywhere that I post the video, most people will know the stuff that I've done over the years. Um, that's not saying that you're anyone, but at the same time, what it kind of amounts to is basically this portfolio, if you could call it, or notebook. I got 2 blueprints for sure. Obviously the one that I have now, which is a PTS design. Yes, you can still get this stuff. It's readily available. It's all over the internet. Back then, this stuff was pretty taboo, man. The fact that there was somebody out there smart enough to do what they were doing, Bruce Palsgrove. Palsgrove. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but I had spent probably way over a year on that forum, and I did give back on my own design add-ons in a sense. But this basically, I worked at a machine shop. It was an industrial machine shop that it was a lot of CNC, a lot of plug and play. It was production, so you had jigs already set up, and it was just you throw the part in there and then monitor tolerances. So these were nice back then. I paid $50 for this. It was basically a Superflow copycat, or roughly closely, but the difference was there was no moving parts, in the sense of it was just an orifice plate to switch from intake to exhaust. So that was kind of the direction that obviously that I went. And then later on, through this whole process, like this one here, you have, and like I said, don't get me wrong, I know all this stuff is already readily available on the internet, but one build that struck out as really nice, and there was a lot of, the problem with this for me was there was a lot of moving parts. And basically, if you Google 68 flowbench, this was basically in my opinion back then, that was like 100% Superflow 600 copycat. The only downfall was the motors that you put into the bench. It was the major cost on that was the motors. Obviously, you have to have pretty stout motors to deliver the airflow. But the thing is like the PTS. I'm getting into way more things that I wanted to do in this video, because that wasn't the focus. The focus was advertising some of the stuff that I'm selling and getting rid of because of my own reasons. Mainly it just sits here. It's not helping no one. Once you build the equipment, I mean, this stuff is kind of irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? So, I look back on it and I'm like, I kind of wished I would have went with the Merc Dog Motorsport 68 flowbench, only in the sense that, and don't get me wrong, I could take the PTS design, and the difference is this is based on a 16-inch incline manometer, and the Merc, everything else that you see is based on a 6-inch. So that being said, you can get a lot of airflow capacity based on the incline of the manometer. I mean, it's no different than you have a water tube, because water and other fluids have specific gravity, weight. So if you can push, common sense tells you if you have a tube in line and it's sitting 16 inches up here, the amount of power and airflow that it's going to take to move that fluid in that 16-inch incline is going to be a lot more than if it were 6-inch, which is what Superflow typically used. And that is why the Merc Dog 68 flowbench, so another thing is you have to understand that this was back in 2008, man. So I literally bought components and parts and wood and everything for both blueprints and designs. Whereas your PTS design has fixed orifices that need to be machined, and there's a whole nother discussion as far as whether it's sharp edged or square edged, because you can change the software accordingly. But yeah, now that you think that you forgot this stuff, but when I took this book to work every single day for roughly a year and a half, I call it a book because that's all I had. All of the extra info, receipts, software, it's titled Really Important Stuff Regarding Feet Per Second. There is so much info here, but I kept that back. I'm only selling blueprint. I think I spent $50 on the PTS 8 motor design back in 2008. And I don't remember on the Merc Dog. I think they were roughly the same. It might have been like $100, I think, back then. That was a lot of money for me to pony up that. But I had a vision, So I just felt that at that time in my life, all the moving parts that were involved in the basically Superflow 600 copycat, that was kind of above my pay grade, in the sense that I didn't have the tooling, I didn't have the machines, I didn't have the internal stuff to get that done, and I was not going to farm anything at all. I was going to do it all for myself, because that's what we do. So what I think is cool is we had this is a really cool deal back then, because this was on the internet, obviously, but I literally printed this out, and it was kind of a how did you find that kind of deal. But if I remember correctly, this was in a popular hot rodding book. Like, oh man, I'm gonna say way like back in the 90s. So I kind of took this whole concept. So back then, it was I think even now, if a guy's going after that kind of build, I think, this info is still important. It's kind of fascinating in a sense. So, long story short, I'm going to stop rambling. I think this is a 3-part series for this popular hot rodding article. And there was a lot of valuable information. But the problem was, it wasn't really a problem. It was a lot of moving parts, and the Superflow had a lot of discs that had an orifice size that you had to rotate. Obviously, I ran one for many, many, many years. It delivered the data, but where I was at back then, I just wanted simple, and that's what the PTS design was more of a, there's just so much data here, it's ridiculous. incline manometers, fluid manual manometers that you can actually build, and it's not really that hard. Once you understand, like I've told people, it's like you can run the thing all day long, but to understand how they work, and that's a whole nother thing. This one here is what they call a, oh God, what the heck was it? It was a, I can't think of the name. It was a pitot tube flow bench, which in theory it works. It just, you had to do a lot more math back then to get a industry standard. Industry standard is 28 inches of water. Yeah. So basically why I'm making this video is I'm going to put it on YouTube. Obviously I have a channel on there, which is, it's just random garbage that I just put on there that I want to talk about, so I'm probably going to put this on my carburetor page. Yeah, but like I said, I held back a lot of receipts from, we're approaching 16 years ago that I built this thing. So to me, to see this, I'm going to sell this whole folder for $150, and I'm going to be firm on it. If nobody wants to pay that, fine. I guess it's just going to sit here, and then somebody will get it for free at the auction, So it's kind of what it amounts to. Like I said, there's a lot of information here. This was my freaking Bible for a year and a half. Every break that I had, every spare minute, lunches, lunch half-hour breaks, 10-minute breaks, 15-minute break, whatever it was. This was my baby. We didn't have phones that we could scroll, all kinds of social media and all that kind of stuff. It was just, we had the internet, but I would print something out, stab a 3-hole binder, holes in it, and add it to the whole, the study guide, if you will. So yeah, that's going to be, to me, this is pretty huge, because it's not like, it's almost like you're erasing a chapter of your life that was so important. But then you realize it's like, okay, so I have the machine, I have all the calibration aspect of it. And quite honestly, nobody remembers it, but even way back in the forum days, I'm sure it still is going on, but I was the first guy that got Bruce's first digital manometer. And I didn't get no break on the price. It was 300. It was a little over $300 when I bought it. And I cashed in vacation time at my job to buy it. And I was the first guy, first serial number that got that piece. It was serial controlled, not USB. Things have changed then, but I'm that guy. It's like, it worked back then and it still works today. So yeah, oops. And I just, showed a password that a lot of people probably won't even care or even know where it goes. So yeah, it is what it is. So if anyone is interested on my carburetor page and or cylinder head page, it's all the same. It's all airflow. It's all horsepower, So if there's anyone interested, you'll even get my fancy logo from 20 years ago. $150 for this piece of, in my opinion, very important data and information. If not, that's fine, because it'll go on eBay and I'll put a buy now of $150. And like I said, when you're real questionable on getting rid of something, you typically put the price a little bit higher, in the sense that, if someone appreciates the information as much that I did, 17 years ago, or do the math. I can't do the math right now because that's not where I'm at. It's just 15, 17 years is just, it's approaching 20 and I'm not liking it. So I realize some of this stuff that's just sitting here, I need to pass it along. I don't have anyone family oriented that is willing to take all of the knowledge and go forth with it. Yeah. So, yeah. Look it up on eBay if you're interested, or shoot me a message. Thanks.